What is up? We are live. Good to see everybody on here. Of course, Dodge released the new Charger here today. They got a 2-door and a 4-door, and I'll talk about why that's interesting in just a minute. But just the specs on it, the 2024, this is from Car and Driver. 2024 Dodge Charger represents the birth of the electric muscle car. The first, Dodge's first EV debuts with a 2-door body style, standard all-wheel drive, 2 trims, the RT with 496 and the Scat Pack with 670. The Charger EV has a 400-volt architecture. Dodge is targeting 317 miles of range for the RT and 260 miles for the Scat Pack. So those will sit on the lots forever. But there is a inline 6, almost a V6. There is an inline 6 version that they're dropping out with a twin turbo. And I thought that was the interesting part, because we've seen with Ford's Lightning truck that it continues to sit on lots and stuff like that, but the gasoline trucks move much better. So of course, I think the inline 6 version will be better. And the reason I think that's interesting is because Chevrolet has not released their car yet, but of course they've said they're going fully electric. Well, I think Chevrolet is going to do the same thing Dodge is doing here. And they're going to drop a version that is electric, but they're also going to have a gas engine in it. I think it'll be 4 doors, and I think that they will probably call it a Camaro, because if you go to this from, let's see, I'll tell you what, and I'll post the links here, because let me do that. So there, that's that one. And this is this one that I'm fixing to talk about. There we go. There you go. So they have the links so you can see what I'm talking about here. But let's see. This all the way back from, everybody's like, the Chevy Camaro is dead, but this is all the way back from like 2023, March of 2023. So almost a full year, looks like, where they said, what will replace the Camaro? That's not what I wanted to look for. Here we go. So Chevy won't discontinue the Camaro, ? Chevy definitely left the door open a crack for the possibility the Camaro will have life after the 6th generation dies off, as Scott Bell, vice president of Global Chevrolet, mentioned in a statement. While we're not announcing an immediate successor today, rest assured, this is not the end of Camaro's story. So, like I said, and they've got codename Panther for the last run of them. So I think they're just going to come out with another version of the Camaro, but it's probably not going to be the 2-door version, or they'll do what Dodge is doing. So that's why I thought that story was interesting. The other stories, of course, that were interesting today was Dale Jr. saying that him and NBC don't have any beef or anything like that. Apparently, there was a Reddit. What a time to be alive. There's a Reddit thread that got so big that Dale Jr. had to address it and say that it was not accurate. And whether or not it was accurate or not is up for debate. I think what happened was whoever wrote that Reddit post took what Dale Jr. said word for word and just kind of spun it up and made it bigger than it was, because Dale Jr. obviously said that there were some people, and he was definitely referring to NBC, that didn't want him to look at the racetrack. They wanted him to just call the action that was on the screen, and he said he couldn't do that. And so I think at the end of the day, what actually probably happened, if I had to just take a wild guess, is the Dirty Mo Media aspect of Dale Jr.'s thing. I don't know that he necessarily wanted that to be all of his shows contractually obligated to the Peacock, because the Peacock's reach is nowhere near what YouTube's reach is. So I think control over Dirty Mo Media, I don't think it was actually money. I think it was, but it could be money. But I think actually it was just the control over Dirty Mo Media and where he could post stuff, the full episodes and stuff like that. I don't think he wanted to be exclusive to Peacock, because I use the Joe Rogan analogy. Joe Rogan lost a good deal of his reach when he went exclusively to Spotify. And now that Joe Rogan came back to YouTube, look at how many more views Joe Rogan is getting now that he's come back to YouTube. I feel like that played a bigger factor into it as well. And of course, if you look at it from that perspective, you can also say, well, obviously it was because of money, because the bigger the reach, the more money you're going to make. So at the end of the day, you can say it's about money, but not traditionally the way most people are thinking about money. And that's just me guessing, by the way, but I always thought that was the bigger deal. So let's see what you guys want to talk about. One wise guy posted the link up here. If you want to go visit the merch store, get one of these sweatshirts like I got on right now. Visit the merch store. We also got t-shirts, hats, and stickers. He also posted the Discord link, so I'm going to jump in from here and try to catch up. Let's see. Oh no, there's some more comments. I could have. Oh yeah, I've got a poll question too. Probably should get to that. Huh? Do you like the design of the new Charger? Yes, no. Design, yes. i6 turbo engine, no. Design, no. Engine and motor options, yes. So 3% on engine and motor options, yes. 8% on the i6 turbo. You like the design, but not the i6 turbo. And then 26% no. 63% saying yes. So overall, looks like everybody's liking the design there. I could have picked a better design for the front. I'm not personally digging it, says NASCAR Collector. One wise guy saying looks like they're all going to the same style front clips. Yeah, they are going to sort of like that old school muscle car look on the front clip for a lot of them, with sort of the flat nose. So yeah, I would agree with that. I think Stuart Haas will go to Dodge, says Jackson Robinson. That's 50-50. Whether or not Dodge comes back to NASCAR, I guess that's the other aspect of it I should have addressed. That's probably always going to be 50-50. That's up to Dodge and pretty much how they're feeling that day. I like all two-door models. We need more of them. I like bench seats, but I think those are gone forever. Yeah, the old bench seat, I think you can still get them in some trucks, but you have to like sort of custom order them. SHR is going to Honda, if anywhere, says Bumblebee. It's all pretty much a done deal according to the Iceberg. I haven't seen that yet, so I have to go check that out. I'm thinking Trackhouse and Colleague and Spire are going to Honda because Trackhouse is collecting alliances like Thanos collects Infinity Stones. So my money would be on Trackhouse, but that's neither here nor there. I have to see what he's talking about before I guess I'll talk out of school about that. What's up, Bologna Burger? What's up in between the lanes? What's up, One Wise Guy? What's up, OJ Jackson? What's going on? Let's see here. Detroit has huge overflow lots full of Lightning trucks, says One Wise Guy. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So they're going to make electric versions of all of these. No question about it, but they're going to sit on the lots. So I'm more focused on the gas-powered versions because those are the ones that are still selling. Nothing against electric cars or anything like that. I'm just going with what's actually selling right now. I do not like the new Dodge is electric, but I do like the design of the car overall, says Mickey. Well, the good news is you can get an inline six with twin turbos, Mickey Logano. So there is still a gas option, and that was the interesting part I thought about the whole deal. Because I'm pretty sure Chevrolet is going to do the same thing when they bring the replacement for the Camaro, whatever they name it. So is it possible that those four charters NASCAR is holding on to could be split between Honda and Dodge, or is it only meant for one OEM? It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting, and it's going to be super cool to see how it plays out. Unfortunately, what it is going to mean is, if they give those four charters, will NASCAR expand it to a 42-car field? Or is that it? Is that the end of it? If you don't have a charter, you don't race in NASCAR. That's a section of that I find more interesting than where the four extra charters are going to go. What's up, Cody? Good to see you on here. I feel like the design of the new Charger looks like the one from the 1960s, but just modernized. Yeah, I think they definitely went for a bit of a retro look, and I think that's always going to be a good thing because that's when you think of Charger or a Challenger, that's sort of the look you're thinking about. So you always want to keep some of those cues in there if they can. I don't like any electric cars, says OJ and Toothpaste. I mean, I don't think you're necessarily in the minority there because, like I said, they're not selling very well. I'm gonna stay off the electric talk because I'd rather talk about how it applies to NASCAR, not whether or not people like electric cars or anything like that. So I'm just it's obvious most people don't want electric cars because they're not selling. So I don't want to get into one of those debates here today. What's up, Lovey? Good to see you on here. BB, do you own a pair of Air Jordans? What's your favorite Tyler Reddick 45 scheme so far? I like the cement, the sort of the cement look. It was actually Kurt Busch's, but I guess they brought it back for Tyler Reddick. That's probably my favorite one so far. And there's actually a race win in that one as well. I had some Jordans when I was in high school, quite a few pairs actually, but I haven't bought any recently. I'm on the what's it called? Minimalist shoe wear deal, where you got room for your toes to actually wiggle. So I'm sort of on that deal right now, slowly transitioning. Limbs and zero shoes. Toyota working on hydrogen sounds like a better option than the electric. All right, guys, I'm going to cause some chaos this week, says Lovely. Yeah, Toyota is definitely working on the hydrogen deal. NASCAR is putting a lot of money into the hydrogen deal as well. So that's something also you might want to keep an eye on. How does hydrogen work compared to electric gas motor? I'm confused. Hydrogen is they take in they basically take in oxygen and it mixes it with hydrogen to get your power, and it emits water. So that's basically how it works. I'm not going to get into a detailed how to do that. What if all the F1 Red Bull mess with Ford goes into IndyCar to replace Honda, going to NASCAR? I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know the deal with IndyCar. I'm not as familiar with that sport, so I couldn't really speak to that. But I'm sure IndyCar will try to get somebody to replace Honda as an engine supplier for sure. What's up, BB? And says T-Van. What's up, T-Van? What's up, Quattro? Dirty Mo has split all of the shows into their own channels, I noticed. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I think it's all about reach. And so I think that's so they can sell advertisement space to each show, too, by the way. Is I think a big part of that. I just watched your latest video and you pulled off the Matt Patricia look with the pencil. Yeah, I forgot I had the pencil in there. I appreciate it in between the lanes. I'm glad somebody else noticed that. I was like, man, I forgot to put my pen. It was actually a pen. I forgot to put my pen back up. It was still stuck in my hat. What's up, Roofer? What's up, B? Let's see. Why are people up in arms about 23 pushing the 45? I've never seen a more perfect example of using your teammate to your advantage. Says like this, like, yeah, I don't know. To me, it was no different than drafting. So I didn't see it like that. Now, if the 23 had blocked Kyle Larson, that might be a different story. So he didn't do that. So, I mean, maybe you have an argument if he does it that way, but he just pushing a teammate, it's no different than anybody else drafting with you, I wouldn't imagine. What's up, Stupid Roofer? Let's see. BB, you like Gregson's scheme for this week? Serve Pro, green and orange scheme. I'm not a huge green and orange person, but as far as green and orange goes, they did as good a job as you can do with green and orange. So there you go. Sorry, you fans. I'm not a green and orange kind of guy. Let's see. The 2019 Silverado Z71 has a bench seat. Says Brindley. Yeah, I've got a 2018 that has a bench seat. So that's for sure. That's actually the exact truck I was thinking about with Chevrolet. You can still get a bench seat in them. And mine's an LT, so it's fairly high up there. It's LTZ, I think. Yeah, mine's an LTZ, so like it's fairly high up in the trim change that chain that you can get a bench seat still. I think SHR will switch back to Chevy because if and when Honda joins, NASCAR is going to be a long process. Yeah, so I think in the immediate future they're definitely going to go to Chevrolet or something like that. So it's going to be interesting. BB, I like the Bass Pro hat. Is that Dylan or Truex? This one's Dylan, but they make a Martin Truex one that's the exact same. It's just got the other way with it. It's just got a 19 right here instead of a 3. I was told to ask you about diecast collecting, and why once you start, you can never go back. Says Quattro. I mean, look, it's a fun hobby. If you let it get out of control, it can become an expensive hobby. But you know, everybody controls their own thing. So yeah, collecting diecast is a fun thing to do. I like to do it, obviously, as you see the diecast here and here. So yeah, I think it's a good thing to get into. But it's a lot of people don't like it. Typically, people's wives. So I'll throw that out there. Let's see. Crazy thing about the Lightning is the reviews are amazing, but the sales numbers don't match. Yeah, and I think, to be fair to electric cars, I don't think necessarily people hate the electric cars so much as they're looking at the infrastructure and they're like, where am I going to charge the thing? Like, if you live in New York City, where can you go charge your car if you buy one, right? So, I mean, it's there's logistics to it, too. It's not necessarily just the car. It's the overall ecosystem of electric cars and stuff like that. Dodge should have a 440 Magnum V8 hybrid, or they may announce something next year if USA politics change, says William Thomas. I don't know about that. So as far as I've heard, and I'm not going to pull up the article, but everything I've heard is Dodge is done with V8s. So we'll have to see. That's why they're putting the twin turbo V6 in their trucks and stuff like that. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what Dodge does. If Honda announced they were racing NASCAR tomorrow, how fast could the car be on track? About 2 years. Says like this. Like, yeah, 2 years is everything I'm seeing from everybody in the industry. The only area where you might have some fudge factor in there is if Honda has already started that process and we just don't know about it. Like that would make it sooner if it's just something that the general public might not know about. Will Chevy continue the winning streak on Sunday, says Joseph Wooten? I'm picking Penske. I'm going to pick Penske and my outside. I'm just going to go ahead and spoil it now. My sleeper pick right now is going to be Josh Berry. If you look at Kevin Harvick's average finish at Phoenix, and then you look at Josh Berry's average finish in the Cup Series at Phoenix, you match that up. Josh Berry is going to be a good sleeper. But I've got a Penske car winning Phoenix. I think that's going to be the deal. Chevy's best bet at Phoenix is definitely going to be Trackhouse, so don't sleep on Trackhouse for sure. Never owned Jordans, but had a pair of Bo Jacksons, says T-Van. I was in elementary school, and I had those orange and purple ones, the Bo Jackson cross trainers. So those were cool shoes. I like those too. Let's see. I'm just going to give a bunch of reasons why Hamlin is better, says Lovey Barkley. Someone brought up no idea that RFK is going with Honda. I know there's better odds that HMS going with Daewoo than RFK going to Honda. I mean, I feel like that's a fair point. That's the same thing with all the talk about RCR going to any other manufacturer. I think RCR is pretty much locked into Chevrolet for life. Do you think Sunday, well, unless something dramatic happens, will be a glimpse of the championship, says one wise guy? Everybody always says that, but it never really works out that way because there's such a long gap in between that race and the end of the year that they learn so much stuff about the cars. It could be, but I doubt it. BB, where is the All-Star race? Nazareth Speedway next year. Where is the All-Star race this year? Nazareth Speedway, question mark. As far as I know, they're still going to have it in Wilkesboro. But let's see here. Nazareth would be a cool place to have it one day. They wanted to rebuild that joint. Let's see. For starters, Hamlin has twice as many wins as Kyle Larson, says Lovey Barkley. He's also like twice as old. Thoughts on the new rules regarding VP passes starting at Phoenix and maybe what happened to change it? Oh yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Like I'm not up on that story. So I'll have to look that one up. Phoenix is pretty much free range. I'm gonna say probably what probably changed the VIP passes, if I had to guess, was that cat that wasn't paying attention and got run over by the Wood brothers pushing their cart. So they're probably being more strict about it because they don't want people that don't know what they're doing in the pits, in the hot zones at least. Just Footen, they better win as many as they can because those Fords are coming, says Roofer. Yeah, I think Ford and Toyota by the end of the year. Like here's my thinking on that. Chevrolet is as fast as the Camaro is as fast as it's ever going to be. They got 5 or 6 years worth of notes and testing and stuff like that. This is as fast as the Camaro is ever going to be. And the fact that the Toyotas and the Fords are unloading and they're all already pretty close to it, the Fords and Toyotas are just going to keep getting better and better and better. So I think probably midway through the year, you'll see it probably flip. So Chevrolet needs to get as much as it can right now. Maybe we able to sell your diecast. I want my attic is full of boxes with Rubbermaid totes. Says OJ. I mean, some of them I'll probably sell at some point, but there's definitely some I'll never get rid of. BB, can you still find an old square body S10 truck where you live in good shape? Says T-Man. Yeah, I passed one the other day actually coming from somewhere. So yeah, there are definitely still some of them out there in pristine condition. At least the body was. The USA has added emission tax on carbon vehicles that are assembled in the U.S. Extra $7,500 for Volvo trucks. We have been by, so we are getting trucks made in Mexico. Says William Thomas. Yeah, so that's one way to stop American manufacturing. So I don't know. There's more effective things they could do than to tax the general public for something that politicians want to change. But I'm not getting into politics because that's something there's plenty of YouTube channels that touch on it. I'm not one of them. BB, would you rather have a Subaru WRX or a Honda Civic Si? I'd rather have a Honda Civic, a Honda anything over a Subaru. Because after a while, the Subarus are going to get wore out and you're going to have to replace something like all cars are. The Honda's going to get wore out and you're going to have to replace something too. I'd rather work on the Honda motor than the Boxer motor. So that's my thought process on that. And the Boxer motors are generally, they had one run with some head gaskets, but the Boxer motor is generally, you can get easily 300,000 miles out of it. But, once you have to work on it, it's not a fun layout to work on. Unless you've got a shop purpose built for boxer type cars. Porsche and Subaru fans, I apologize if I've offended you there. Okay. Also, I'm still confused about how the truck and Xfinity series work with the Cup Series. Are they minor leagues essentially? Yeah, that's basically the best way of thinking about them. That's definitely a good way of thinking about them. We call them feeder series because they're not exactly equivalent to the minor leagues, but they're pretty much just like the minor leagues. HMS sucks. It says like this, like I got Hamlin winning on Sunday, says Mickey Logano. For sure, for sure. Hamlin is really good at Phoenix, so you can't sleep on him either. Let's see. Do I have the numbers in front of me? Ooh, for once I do. So, yeah, Hamlin has an average finish of 9.7 there, 2 top fives in the last 6 starts, and 4 top tens. He has led 47 laps. His average start there is third. His average starting position is 6th. And his average finish is 9.7. His lowest finish at Phoenix has been 23rd. So there you go. And if you're going by power rankings, according to driveraverages.com, he has a 98 power ranking, and there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers ahead of him. So Denny Hamlin's definitely. I mean, where is Denny Hamlin a bad pick, right? Like he's pretty good. Let's see. Thoughts on Josh Williams' finish Sunday after the last 2 bad weeks? He's got to get something going, man. Got to get something going. Matt Kenseth is running the Tokyo Marathon. Pretty impressive to see the old guy still in top shape. Needs to come back and win another Cup race. I don't think he likes the new car. Like he jumped in it when he was filling in. He filled in for somebody, but yeah, he didn't. Was it Kyle Larson? Yeah. So yeah, he filled in for Kyle Larson during that whole deal. I feel like, and that didn't. He didn't like the new car. I feel like, for example, Kyle Larson wrecking himself at Texas and Homestead for one spot. Says Lovey Barkley. I mean, you can get into the. I'm not going to get into the finer points of Kyle Larson versus Denny Hamlin. Pull for who you want to pull for. Let's see, BB. How many vehicles do you own right now? I got the Fiat. I got my Chevrolet truck. I got a. It's not titled for the road, but I got a Nissan that I'm working on, and I got a Miata. So that'd be what, 4? So that's 4. Let's see. I love you, Barkley. You got to be kidding me. Let's see. The Dark Horse Mustang is the GTD, says Steve Roofer. He literally walled the 5 twice for the win last year. Bubba was slowing down already at Texas by that point in the race, so Larson sending it. Wasn't really necessary because it's not like it was going to be hard for him to pass Bubba, the Homestead, Larson. I'm not getting into all this. BB, would you rather have the 1998 Toyota Supra or the Mazda RX-7? I'd rather have the Toyota Supra because the rotary engine is definitely going to be one of those deals where you got to eventually do some work on it. Where did Williams finish? Says Steve, he had another. He did the gas mileage thing. I don't have that in front of me because that's Xfinity results. But he did a gas mileage thing, and he led a bunch of laps and stuff like that. I think he still ended up with like a top 16 or something like that. So it wasn't terrible. Top 13. 13 sounds right to me too. Let's see. Dodge to enter NASCAR in. It won't be 2026. So if they enter NASCAR, it will probably be after NASCAR finally unveils whatever the new power plant's going to be. I think personally that's what Dodge is waiting on. Go Martin Truex Jr. So when we find out whenever the actual new power plant comes in, I think that's when you might see Dodge make a move because that seems to be, according to Dodge, from what they've said, that seems to be their holdup on it. Go Martin Truex Jr. NASCAR, says Jeffrey G. Ordano. Very popular sentiment. Martin Truex Jr., of course, very fan-friendly. A lot of people like him. BB, will Josh Williams make the championship 4, says OJ and Toothpaste? I don't know about championship 4. That's a hard one to pick. And I typically, after a couple weeks from now, I typically don't get a chance to look at, Saturday races. So this will be pretty much the last time I look at it, basically until the playoffs. So it's hard to say, but Josh Williams has the talent to make it to the Final 4. He's in a good ride, so he's got as good a chance as anybody. I think he'll definitely make the Elite 8, the Final 8. I think the most interesting drivers for me are Williams and Shane Van Gisbergen, or SVG, says T-Van. SVG is going to be super interesting. He looks like he's picked it up pretty quick, barring mechanical failures and stuff like that. So I don't know exactly what happened. He said it was an engine issue. I don't know exactly what the engine issue was, but it'll be interesting to see what he does halfway through the season. I think he'll definitely probably win a road course race. I think a sliced bread is due for one Sunday, says one wise guy. I do like the pick there. I think that's going to be pretty solid. So I think that's going to be fair. Let's see. I think it's definitely going to be a Penske driver. Let me. Yeah, Logano's got the third best average, and Ryan Blaney has the first best average finish. So Ryan Blaney's average finish there is 4.0, and Joey Logano's average finish there is 8.5, and obviously he won the race in 2022 to get the championship. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm leaning toward Penske, and don't sleep on Austin Cindric. He is currently 11th in points, so he's having a resurgence after a really bad year last year. I just think Denny Hamlin deserves more respect from the HMS side of the NASCAR fan base, says Lovey Barkley. Look, man, I don't recall ever disrespecting Denny Hamlin unless I was like legitimately like joking about something, like I joke about all drivers. So I mean, maybe, I don't know. I can't speak for a whole fan base. So let's see. How come Fox didn't? But he's got like, I don't know how much. He's got like what, 50 something wins. So I don't know how much disrespect you can legitimately throw at the guy. I don't know. It's I don't know. I don't remember bringing that up, but I don't know. I guess that's a hot button issue today. Is that like something that's trending that Denny Hamlin doesn't get respect? Did I miss that? How come Fox didn't show us the Bubba Lug issue, says Duke Chronic? Because T-Van down here right after it. Fox only shows like basically the leader for most of the race, unless they're really talking about something else. I don't know. The Fox camera work has definitely been called into question quite often. So I don't know. I don't get it. Let's see. BB, have you ever drove a car with NOS? I have ridden in a car with NOS, but I've never driven one. OJ and Toothpaste. BB, what about this Honda coming to NASCAR, says James Maroon? It looks like it's probably going to happen, according at least to Jordan Bianchi. But the soonest they would come in would be like 2 years from now. So the Honda Stewart Haas thing, I don't know about all that, unless Stewart Haas is just going to take like an off year in 2025. I don't know if that actually has legs or not. I'd have to look into it. Like, I don't know. I haven't taken that part of it seriously because Honda, the earliest they could come in would be 2026, unless there's something we don't know about. So, yeah, but it seems like from there seems a lot of people that are confident that Honda's coming in. So that's from Jordan Bianchi. That's from people in IndyCar. You're seeing a lot of talk about that. So it'll be interesting. We're riding with Big Boss Ross, says Quattro. Yeah, the watermelon boss, Ross Chastain. He's definitely a fun one to watch. No NAS trucks this weekend, says In Between Lanes. Yeah, so the trucks have it off. Back in the day, you didn't get another truck race until March, and now after Daytona, they got like a month off, then they came back. So now they're actually getting a off week in March, which is interesting if you followed the sport long enough. Let's see, Cup, Xfinity, and ARCA this weekend. If Rowdy can get this his mistakes in pit crew in order, it's Rowdy Nation for the Cup. So that's a good point. He was leading the points. If it wasn't for his mistake and his team's mistake on pit road for not backing him up, he probably still is leading the points because he was up there. I don't think he could pass Kyle Larson, but he definitely could run with him. So he probably would have had a top 5 or 6. Easily you could make an argument he would have had third because he was the only other guy that could really run with him. So yeah, I agree. He's been super good. Don't sleep on Joey Logano. Joey Logano's had the fastest car 2 out of 3 races, and his car this weekend last weekend qualified on the pole. They didn't quite have the race set up right like his teammate Ryan Blaney did. But once they get all that sorted out, I wouldn't sleep on Penske. Penske's been very impressive this year too. Joe Gibbs Racing, like no shocker there. They're always good. 2311 has actually kind of on raw speed, has kind of actually outrun them, which is interesting, really. So I don't know. It's not a wrap by any means, but yeah, Rowdy is definitely in that conversation. So yeah, I would keep him in the running as well. Don't sleep on Trackhouse either. Trackhouse has been very fast. Ross Chastain, not a lot of people talking about him. Ross Chastain is in the mix as well, and of course his teammates already locked in. So many people keep bothering Hamlin over various run-ins he's had with HMS drivers. I mean, that's part of the sport. The one thing I will say about like Denny Hamlin fans, I wish they would take a page out of Joey Logano fans' book where they're like, I don't care if you talk bad about our driver. Like we just don't care. We're just gonna celebrate when we win and rub it in your face when we win. And when you talk bad about us, we're just gonna call you a hater. Like I feel like a lot of Joey Logano fans have just embraced that he's gonna be the bad guy, quote unquote, role. I wish the Denny Hamlin fans would quote unquote embrace the bad guy, because I feel like Denny Hamlin's already embraced it. If you watch the Netflix documentary, at least the parts of it that I've made it through so far, Denny Hamlin has embraced that. He wants to be known as the bad guy. He doesn't care about the other drivers. His fans need to embrace that too, and not just don't let the, in this case, I guess you're saying Hendrick fans, don't let the Hendrick fans bother you. Just be like, y'all are haters and move on, or just just don't read it. Like that's the best thing I can tell you. Denny is like Rodney Dangerfield. He gets no respect, says one wise guy. BB, do you like the Toyota FJ Cruiser? I did. I wish they hadn't have discontinued making it. Watching chat, I have a company, says Mark. I remember when it was a different series, but the version of ARCA I watched the most of, like before Frank Kimmel, I feel like you had a pretty good argument. Frank Kimmel dominated for a long time, so that turned a lot of people off to ARCA. So if you really want to, some people were turned off then, so you can go back as far as Frank Kimmel to some people saying, hey, I'm tired of watching Frank Kimmel win every single race. But before that, ARCA was definitely a different deal altogether. One wise guy, get no respect, talking about the Rodney Dangerfield comment. Duke Chronic, it took 500 days from Dodge to saying they are coming back in the 2000s. Maybe Honda can do it in 500 days or so. So, hey, so there you go. 500 days. We have a working number that was the most recent deal from Duke Chronic. Appreciate you there, Duke. OJ Logano says roofer. 3 different winners. I'm sticking with my prediction of 18 different winners this year. Says it could happen. It could happen. I'm gonna go the opposite on that. I think we're gonna have one guy that wins like 5 or 6 races or something like that, and he's gonna take away the 18 deal. Say Kyle, what's up, my friend? Hopefully you get the Camaro, the Corvette sold. If the glove fits, stupid, says T-Van. BB will stupid roofer. You know I hate that dude. LOL, says OJ. Let's see. Denny the Dork, says William Wagaman. Stupid River saying what's up to Kyle. You mean Cow Patty 42, says William Wagman. BB, do you like Mike Skinner? So Mike Skinner is an interesting story. Like Mike Skinner, he kind of needs, like, if anybody, he might have one. I might just be missing it. But if there's 2 dudes that I think would really interest people, Mike Skinner would be one of them. I feel like he's pretty much a wild man. Don't forget that at one point during the Grand Tour, Mike Skinner was the test driver. They can't call him the Stig anymore because they didn't own the rights. But Mike Skinner was their version of the Stig for a little while. They called him the American, and they did that for a reason. He's got a pretty interesting personality. So Mike Skinner, I definitely liked. I wish it would have worked out for him at RCR, because that was just that would have been a cool deal. Because like I said, he's got a good personality. But he's just an interesting dude. He's still I don't know if he races it. I think he raced it one season and then he put somebody else in it trying to, but he runs a super late model program. So he's still around racing. He lives in Florida, I want to say. I think where he runs his deal is mostly at Five Flags, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, Mike Skinner, definitely an interesting personality. Rick Mass would be another interesting personality that I think if he doesn't have a YouTube channel, he would be another interesting one. Kenny Wallace, of course, already has one. But I think those are guys that have personalities like Kenny Wallace that could sort of do that crossover 100%. I think it would be nice if teams ran throwback schemes that match the car number, says Lovey. Yeah, so I don't disagree with you there. I think in some situations there's only so much you can do. Sometimes it's dictated by the sponsor. Like the sponsor wants to throw back to a scheme that they had that doesn't match the number. And in some cases, the sponsor won't change the color. The DC Solar thing was probably the shining moment of what I think you're talking about here. The number didn't match. When they threw it back to Davey Allison's rookie year car is the DC Solar car I'm talking about. The number didn't match. The colors didn't match, but it was a throwback to the Texaco Haviland 28, but it was a white, blue, silver, and black DC Solar car. So at that point, you're sort of like, what are we throwing back to? A fictional past that didn't exist? Is this steampunk or hipstery? So it was in those situations, I see exactly where you're coming from. But yeah, I like them to stay, even if they can't get the number right. The number thing, I'm not going to like get hung up on, but I do like it better when the number matches too. But I do like it when they throw it back all the way, like a good throwback this time, because you're never going to get all 3 to match typically. So like the best way to throw it back now, I think, would be like the 42, like do a what was that, Southern Belle or whatever that Joe Nemechek used to run. His son John Hunter is in the 42. So he could do like a throwback to that, and that would match up, even though the sponsor on the hood would be different. But then you've got to get the sponsor to sign off on that, with the sponsor's colors being different and things like that. Then you have ones that line up perfectly, and they won't sell any merchandise because you have a sponsor that's just really funny about merchandise, like Coca-Cola. When Kyle Larson ran the 42 Mellow Yellow car, it's really hard to get that 42 Mellow Yellow car because I think they didn't produce it. I think the only versions out there that you can buy are custom stuff because Coca-Cola doesn't like to sell their stuff. So sometimes there's situations like that. Apparently, it was like a minor miracle that they can get Jordan brand. They got the Jordan brand Kurt Busch stuff, and it's a Monster which has Coke ownership. It's hard to find a lot of Monster Energy diecast for little kids and stuff like that because it's an adult collectible. Because Monster Energy is so bad for you. It's so much worse for you than apparently McDonald's and stuff like that, which I'm not getting into because it's just one of those things. The sponsorship world is interesting at that level. It's interesting at every level, but certainly far more interesting at the cup level. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Kenny Wallace Show. It says in between the lanes. Hey, folks on here, are you going to Bristol? I don't know if I'll make it to Bristol. I would love to make it to Bristol one year, but if I make it to Bristol, it's definitely going to be toward the end of the season. It won't be this race coming up. Lots of interest. Probably won't be long. Gonna miss her though, says Kyle. So there you go. Unfortunate, and those are the Corvette headlights there as part of that post. If you're looking at the chat, update on Red Farmer's condition. Last I heard, he's still with us, but I can't remember if it was a heart attack or a stroke or whatever. But he was knocked down. But he was, up until that moment, he was still racing. So he's made the most of the time he's had. And hopefully he can pull through and keep on racing. NASCAR is a great sport. Kyle Busch used to be the most despised driver in NASCAR up until a year ago. And now all of the community is rooting for him. His stats are astonishing, 230 wins combined through all series. So, yeah, the interesting thing about Kyle Busch is the way the whole Joe Gibbs, I think there's many tentacles to why people like Kyle Busch. It's sort of that Stone Cold Steve Austin, Vince McMahon aspect to it. You feel like where the truth lies doesn't really matter in this particular situation. I think a lot of people feel like Kyle Busch was forced out of Joe Gibbs Racing. And like I said, this is what people think. I'm not saying this is exactly what I think. I think a lot of people feel like he was pushed out so that they could put the grandson in there. And so there's this level of sympathy of Kyle Busch versus his boss. Like, people that work a regular 9-to-5 job a lot of times don't like their boss because they feel like their boss is too hard on them, whatever. The Stone Cold Steve Austin, Vince McMahon angle, right? So there's that. There is the fact that there are a lot of Toyota haters, so they wouldn't pull for Kyle Busch because he drove a Toyota. Not only did he drive a Toyota, he was the face of Toyota. He was the guy winning the most races for Toyota. Well, when he goes and drives a Chevrolet, you're going to immediately get some Chevrolet fans. But not only is he driving a Chevrolet, he's driving a Chevrolet for the team that Dale Earnhardt Sr. used to drive for. So I think the combination of all those things together, when you put it together, I feel like that's why Kyle Busch got like a ton more fans now. It's not just one thing. I think it's a culmination. It's the perfect storm as to why all that stuff flipped over. And the other thing, of course, is Kyle Busch has been doing it so long that even the people that hated him, he won so much that they just became fans. Even my haters became fans, or whatever Conor McGregor said. So let's see. Never asked, what roles do you have on your race team you're a part of, and where's the first race this season? First race this season is probably going to be at South Austin, and my role on the race team is to do what I'm told. Typically, though, I do the tires and whatever else. Typically, I do the tire pressures and stuff like that, and then whatever else. There's only 3 guys typically working, so there's no real roles. You just do what needs to be done. You do what the other guys aren't doing. So that's pretty much my deal. I don't do anything powertrain because I'm not like, we have an engine guy and stuff like that. But, all 4 corners, shocks and stuff like that, I can do all that stuff. Quick changer end, I can do that if I absolutely have to, but I try my best not to because that smell, man. I swear, there's something about that smell I just want to throw up. But I will do it if I have to. Let's see. I think the Skinners have a snowbird home in the Daytona area, and don't get me wrong. There's definitely people that can do stuff, but I'm not like the man or anything like that. There's definitely people out there that are way better at stuff than that. But I can do a lot of stuff. What is it? Jack of all trades, master of none. That's probably the best way to to say it, but mine would be jack of a lot of trades, master of none. As far as working on the race car, I think the Skinners have a snowbird home in Daytona, but don't think they're there full time. Says Kyle, he's in his prime. He's going to get 400. Says Roofer, hey, BB, you going to Bristol? If it's not raining, I'll be there. I won't be going to this Bristol race, but I might be going to the Bristol, the night race. Quattro saying, so Quattro will be at Bristol. He'll be in the Busch Light Zone. I feel like if I go to Bristol, I want to be in the Busch Light Zone as well. So I like your seats there, which is just you get regular seats. So I think that's like an addition to your seats. But I like the addition there. Does anyone remember that one truck race where half the field had Camping World on the truck, and they all ran the exact same scheme? Says Lovey. Yeah, that was really cool. That was a cool deal by Marcus Lemonis getting everybody sponsorship there. BD, did RCR fire Robbie Gordon, or do you remember him throwing his helmet at Michael Waltrip at New Hampshire? I don't know if that played into him getting fired, but he definitely got let go. I wouldn't say fired, but I think they picked somebody else over top of him. I don't know. I don't know that it was like a bad fallout or not. I can't remember. That's been a long time ago, but I do remember that they did let him go. It wasn't his choice to move on. Let's see. Austin 316, RCR is respected, says Duke Chronic. BB, the 42 DC Solar throwback is what they do on Earth 2. Yeah, all the cars are like that on Earth 2, and people actually like it. Good point there, OJ and Toothpaste. Earth 2, I love the Earth 2 content. I know it must have been rough being a spotter that night, says Lovey. Oh, yeah, it couldn't have been any fun. It couldn't have been any fun. Good to see Kyle Busch mentoring young drivers and making his son get his hands dirty working on the car, says Brickyard Brickhead. So, yeah, that's the other interesting thing about Kyle Busch that doesn't really get played up. But his dad made him work on every part of the they raced legend cars when he was coming up. But he made him work on every part of that car. So Kyle Busch, it doesn't get promoted a lot because they like to make him look like a prima donna and all this other stuff. Kyle Busch knows every part of a race car, and he's actually had hands on it. So I've always thought that was a really cool thing. Hopefully my Baloney Burger hoodie will come tomorrow, 62 degrees and raining tomorrow. Says Aaron, hopefully it'll reach you there. Appreciate you purchasing it, my friend. If y'all ever race in VA, I'll definitely stop by, says Quattro. Yeah, we typically race at South Boston. We have been working with Jason Barnes. I don't think his car is like all the way together yet, so it's going to be. I don't know. I'll let Craig handle that. I don't know how close he got that one. I know I'm running up to Mooresville to pick up a transmission probably Thursday, so it's gonna be at the buzzer. Let's see. I liked when Kyle Busch was the candy man with M&M's, Skittles, Snickers, Twix, and Xfinity along with Trident. Yeah, that was definitely the Mars brands. That was a cool deal. Don't forget Pedigree. They make that too. So yeah, definitely a cool deal. I'm a Toyota guy, and I didn't care for Busch, but now he's with RCR. He's one of my guys. Says one wise guy. Hey, there you go. Sometimes it works the opposite way. So like I said, I think sometimes a guy's just around the sport long enough. This actually happened with Dale Sr. too. Toward the end of his career, there were a lot of guys that when he first came onto the scene, they didn't like him, but just after a while, they warmed up to him. With Jeff Gordon, like after a while, I was like, you know what? He's not the same cocky, brash dude he was at the beginning. Which the only reason I really dislike Jeff Gordon is because he was taking championships away from my guy. The only real reason, but you invent once you don't like him, you invent all these other reasons. Oh, he's too cocky. I was like, is he really too cocky? Because he won like what 100 and something races. But yeah, he was much more mellow toward the end of his career, and I think that warms up to a lot of people too. When you're like a young brash guy, the young brash people like you. Older guys. I use this analogy like. Allen Iverson, one of my favorite basketball players of all time. Like if I was watching Allen Iverson now, I'd be like, "Oh, this dude's doing too much." Like you get older, you're like, you just get crotchety and you get all pissy about dumb stuff. Let's see. Even though you're exactly the same way when you were younger, it's the cycle of life. One day you're the kid doing I don't know what is it doorbell dashes. The next blink of an eye, you're the guy coming out the door screaming, "Get off my lawn!" So it's just that's the way life works. Yeah, I'm in the Richard Petty section, road 34, the Busch area, turn 1. I'm so hyped. Yeah, that I've scouted out that Busch area. Like if I go, so just so everybody knows, if I go to Bristol for the night race, I'm going to try to get in that Busch area. That's where I want to be. That's my area. I can see BB picking up the car. I know. Yeah, right. Well, I'll tell you what, T-Van. Actually, you're not far off because sometimes when the tires are flat, you do have to lift it up a little bit to get the jack up underneath of it. I have done that. That is definitely my specialty when that situation happens. Let's see. When do you see Honda joining NASCAR? If they join NASCAR, I feel like it'll be 2026. I feel like they'll want to do it as soon as possible. Howdy from Canada. I'm busy. I wanted to check in. I'll watch you later when I get time, says Robin Marks. Appreciate you checking in there, Robin. Earth 2, BD is the Statue of Liberty. I say that's a fat Statue of Liberty there, T-Van. Let's see. That's a lot of metal being used in the center section for that statue. And if Honda ends up joining NASCAR, which team do you think they will? Unless they did the younger version of me. Like if they did the younger version, then it's less metal. So that's probably what they would do from a cost saving perspective. Before I became a professional hamburger eater, if Honda ends up joining, I should have a professional bologna burger eater. Stay on brand there. If Honda ends up joining NASCAR, which team do you think they will join? I'm leaning. I guess according to B, Iceberg is leaning towards Stuart Haas. I'm leaning toward Trackhouse, Inspire, and possibly Colleague because I feel like Trackhouse is getting those alliances for a reason. So that's who I would lean to. I haven't seen his video yet, but I think Iceberg's made an argument that it's going to be SHR. So we'll have to see how it goes down. Also, since diecasts seem to be coming up, I have a 1/18th scale Dale Senior Goodwrench from 2000. Those are really cool ones. I like the 1/18th scale. There was a Franklin Mint Richard Petty one that was really cool. They had a Rick Mast one that was a 1/18 that was really cool. The Skull Bandit one. They did the Dale Earnhardt for sure. They did another. They had a 1/18th of the Dale Earnhardt IMSA Corvette that he drove. I think all of the IndyCar stuff you can get I think it's green light diecast or whatever. You can get whatchamacallit, you can get a 1/18th and all the IndyCar stuff. What's up, Isaiah? Good to see you on here. What's up, Robin Marks says roofer. Same with JJ says roofer. You can get. Oh yeah, that's right. They did make a 1/18th of Jimmy Johnson. Yeah. So and Jeff Gordon definitely too. Why do you think M&Ms are so crunchy? They're dog food, says William Wagaman. I don't know about all that, but it is interesting that the same company that makes dog food makes a ton of your candy. I was watching YouTube. Signed out, and he has a new scheme this week. Says in between the lanes. Denny Hamlin does. Okay, so I have to check that out. I'll have to check that out. I hadn't seen that one yet. William Wagaman going Denny the Dork Hamster. Let's see. BB is Earth 2 kind of like a Midnight Club or Need for Speed cars on stock car. Well, we have a race, so like that definitely Earth 2. We definitely have to have some of that type of racing, right? Because we race every day. We don't have any off days. It's a cumulative. Whoever earns the most points at the end of the year after all 364 races are over with, and we have the one day for our banquet, our ceremony, and our championship day, then we go right back to racing. So yeah, we definitely have. It's sort of like actually would be like old NASCAR where they were racing on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and also Saturdays and Sundays. That would definitely be Earth 2 for sure. Juniors. So yeah, there would definitely be some Need for Speed type stuff. We're not only street racing safely, but we're racing in the cornfields and stuff like that too, because that's the other aspect that people don't remember about NASCAR. It actually just started off as moonshiners in cornfields and stuff. Juniors Smokehouse Barbecue Dispensary Bistro. That would be pretty cool. That would be a nice Stuart Haas deal if they could get into that. We need a pic of young BB, says T-Van. We're not trying to scare people, T-Van. Let's see. I rewatched the race, and I think I'll try to find one. I've got one somewhere. I rewatched the race, and I think Goodyear wasn't the problem with the tires. Oh yeah, it was probably 100% like air pressure, but you would think at some point they would figure out exactly where they could go with the air pressure and where they couldn't go. The interesting thing about air pressure is Austin Dillon ran like crap the first segment. Then they basically put him on a different air pressure, and that car just like woke up. Like it's so crazy how the aero platform on these cars work. That just a little bit of air pressure is such a huge adjustment. It always, especially at those speeds, I guess, but it always amazes me. NASCAR and air pressures are huge, no matter what. But the fact that they can make a car that fast with just air pressures is amazing. Let's see, or that big of a change in speed. NASCAR purists respect the excellence. We might not like them, but we respect Says Roofer. Oh yeah, for sure. Like anybody that wins over 15 races, anybody that gets into double digit wins, to be honest, if you got 10 wins, like that is so elite. People don't even understand that. I need to do like a breakdown. I'll tell you what, a really good breakdown that I'll do it. I'll sit down and think about it and figure it out. We need to do like over the last 10 years, the drivers that have won that weren't with Joe Gibbs Racing, that won Cup Series races, that weren't with like Joe Gibbs Racing, Hendrick, or Penske, or whoever you want to throw out there. We need to do and Stewart Haas, because they were dominant for a while. They've just been in a slump recently. But we need to do I need to look that up, because I think that would be an interesting list. Because the guys that are on there, some of them get so much disrespect, but when you think about it from that perspective, that those are guys winning races and they're not with elite, organizations like that, it kind of puts a different spin on it, that some of these guys are able to get multiple wins when they weren't with the best of the best. And some of the ones that are with the best of the best got those wins, and that's how they got to the best of the best equipment. So I've always thought that was an interesting deal. My little prediction: if Honda ends up joining NASCAR, Goodyear, says one wise guy. Trackhouse makes sense to be a backup team at Chevy when you can be the number one with Honda. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking, Quattro. And I think Stewart Haas Racing should probably be thinking the same thing. But if they got Trackhouse and Stewart Haas Racing, that gives you two solid A1 teams right there. My bold prediction: if Honda ends up joining NASCAR, they will bring back Chip Ganassi Racing connections with Honda, IndyCar, and Chip has stated that he is interested in rejoining NASCAR. And if you remember, good point there, Danny Alex. If you remember when Trackhouse bought Chip Ganassi Racing, they said we will always be part of the Chip Ganassi family. He will always be a part of Trackhouse. That's what leads me to believe and I'm just throwing out speculation. Obviously, I don't have any inside takes or anything like that. But that's what always has led me to believe. When the Honda talk started heating up, I was like, they're going to Spire, and it's not Spire, but they're going to Trackhouse, and obviously Trackhouse is going to bring Spire and possibly Colleague with them. So that's been my thoughts on it. Junior Motorsports with Honda in 2026. Says William Wagman, Dale Jr. will not go to Honda. I'll go ahead and tell you that now. I think the best way for Junior to come in would be with Stewart Haas, and it would be Earnhardt, Stewart Haas Racing, and then he would stay with Chevrolet. Dale Jr. is not leaving Chevrolet. I wouldn't think. BB, don't forget Earth 2 qualifies the Daytona 1000 on Christmas Day. What was the 500 laps? What would 500 laps at Daytona be? So that would be is that 1,000? So because I misspoke the other one on the Daytona live stream when I said not the live stream. I think it was a regular video. I said the 500 laps at Daytona. So Earth 2, it's 500 laps at Daytona on one of the days of Speed Week, of course. I could write down a book on how America has turned the corner on Kyle Busch, says Roofer. Yeah, like it's crazy how much hate he got back in the day compared to, and even Carl Edwards was like, Kyle Busch gets cheered now? What has happened in NASCAR? Dodge back in 2025, SHR Racing, says William Wagman. I could see that happening too. Like there's all kinds of stuff out there that could happen. So it's really going to be cool how the sport plays out in the next 3 years. God willing, I'm here to see it. I saw Bubba has the Air Force sponsorship back on NASCAR for Phoenix, and the scheme looks fire. Yeah, the Air Force always comes through. They've never really had. I can't recall. Does anybody recall the Air Force having a bad scheme? I don't think they've ever had a bad scheme. They're Sheldon Williams with that one. I don't think they've ever had a bad scheme. So they're one of the rare ones. I can't remember they've ever had like a bad one. McDonald's always had pretty good schemes until they put the gray on it. And made it look like a test car, but McDonald's would be the other one I'll kind of throw in there. Other than that one car they had, I had a 118 Gordon 95 Championship diecast. It's cheap though. Probably wasn't worth $20 or $30 new. I'm excited about my upcoming Byron Daytona 500 Premier Elite. Curious to see how they turn out. I mean, hopefully it comes out really good. I've seen a lot of people that they're not necessarily in love with Lionel. All the ones I've gotten so far have been good quality. So, but a lot of people post all the time that the ones they get are bad quality. BB, did you ever consider joining the military? Says OJ and Toothpaste. I thought about it, but it's just something that I never followed through on. I chose a different route. Would just be the best way to say it. And I say it like that because I don't want to be like, oh, I wonder what would have happened if I joined. I don't wonder what would have happened if I joined the military. I'm not that dude, but I definitely at one point was thinking about it for sure. I have a 118th Corvette. Drivers are Dale Senior and Junior, and Andy, and anybody that joined the military. Hats off to you. Appreciate your service. I have a 118th Corvette. Drivers are Dale Senior and Junior, Andy Pilgrim, and Kelly Collins. Yeah, I've got the gold one. I've got the raced version gold 1/18th scale like this. Like that's the one I got, and I got it off eBay for a really good price because I was like, oh, I didn't even know it was a 1/18th at the time. I was just like, oh man, that's a killer price on that thing. And it came, and I was like, this thing is gigantic. Like, and when I was opening it up, I was like, does it come with a pit box and all kinds of other stuff? Then I opened it up, and I was like, oh no, the car is just like really big. So I wasn't even paying attention when I bought it. I watched a short from Iceberg earlier with Junior not giving up at Martinsville. I missed the days when drivers crashed and tried to come back, says T-Van. Yeah, there was a lot of like crazy surprise winners, and then sometimes just cars that finished the race that were cobbled together. To me, it was always a fun thing to watch. NASCAR is going to say it's for safety reasons, and really they just don't want a slow car on the track that could affect the outcome of the winner. That's really what it's all about. But they're gonna scream safety, and then once somebody screams safety, you're not allowed to scream back that that's BS. But I will because it's my channel. It's BS. They just don't want somebody in the way of the leaders, causing They don't want like a 2-car battle for the lead and then a lap car getting in the way with pieces falling off and stuff like that. They're going to make up all kinds of reasons, but that's really what they're worried about. BB, will Jamie McMurray make the Hall of Fame or no? That's going to be a tough one. That's a tough call. Ryan Newman's another good one. Ryan Newman's another good one that's like right there on the borderline. He's got like what does Newman have? 16 or 18 wins. So Ryan Newman's another one that's right there on the border. But Jamie McMurray has won just about every big race, some of them multiple times. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. If people say they hate Denny Hamlin, you don't belong here, I wouldn't hang out with him, but I still respect his accomplishments. I mean, you can hate him and still respect him. I'm not going to necessarily say that, but if somebody says they don't respect what Denny Hamlin has done, that's when I'll be like, are you crazy? Like, that dude is good. Whether you like him or not, that dude is good. 200 is 500 miles. So, added, figured up, what is it, 2.5 times 500? We can do that real quick, right? I'm doing this on my phone because 1,250. So it'll be the Daytona 1,250. I would do that in my head, but because we're live, I don't want to do it in my head and get it wrong. So I took the easy way out and used my phone there. OJ, I'm saying no on that one. He had a great career, but not a Hall of Famer. Yeah, maybe that one season where he won most of the crown jewels, maybe they can give him a little section in the Hall of Fame where they talk about that. But it's going to be a tough sell as a Hall of Famer. Honda isn't going to build a pushrod V8. I bet they're only going to join NASCAR. Electric Series says Mentor. I mean, it's all dependent on what NASCAR is going to run. Like, it's all dependent on the next engine that NASCAR runs. So, I don't know. There's all kinds of scenarios. I don't want to throw it out there because it is what it is. But, like, there's all kinds of scenarios where Honda will join. Toyota built a pushrod V8. Honda can easily build a pushrod V8. It's not a big deal. It's not as complicated. They're just going to take, like, they'll take a Dodge block, they'll take a Chevrolet block, they'll take a Ford block, they'll analyze it, they'll study it, they'll build the block, they'll stick their version of a camshaft. Like, it's not for their level of engineers and engineering, that's not necessarily the hardest part. In a lot of ways, it'll be easier for them to build that engine than it would be to build an F1 engine. So I don't know. I don't see that necessarily being a hang-up. The hang-up would be, are we going to build this pushrod engine and then we're going to change the engine format? So why are we building a pushrod engine? So in a situation like that, and this is going to be controversial, in a situation like that, I could see where Honda runs a Chevrolet engine with Honda badging on it, or a Ford engine with Honda badging on it, or a Dodge engine with Honda badging on it. Because the other aspect of this is Honda and Dodge come in at the same time. They split R&D costs, and it's Honda and Dodge until we get to the new engine platform. So they would just use the Dodge block until we go to the new engine format, whatever that's going to be. So that's the one I think a lot of people are not thinking about. Because if you remember that story the other day, they were talking about NASCAR might have 2 manufacturers that are interested in coming back. That could be a situation I see working out too. So like I said, you can throw a lot of ifs and buts, so you just never know. But Honda seems very interested to come in. If they had to build a pushrod block, I feel like they would. Was Kyle Petty the only driver who won with Sabco? That's hard to say because I can't remember if Sterling Marlin was with Sabco or not. So that's I would have to look at the internet, which I have. They've got it all grouped together. Yeah, they got it all grouped together with Sabco with Felix Sabates. It's going to be so hard. Kenny Wallace drove for him for a little while. Sterling Marlin in 01. Was it Ganassi with Felix Sabates by 01 or not? I think it was Felix Sabates, Sabco. I don't know. We'll have to investigate that one on another day. Wikipedia not giving me all the information in an organized format that I was looking for. Although Wikipedia usually has pretty good stuff as far as racing stuff goes. I guess we could have gone to Racing Reference. That probably would have been a better bet. But anyway, I don't know. If it was, I would imagine either it would have to be either Sterling Marlin. I know Kyle Petty did, but Sterling Marlin would be the only other one I could think of off the top of my head. BB, was that scheme was better? Dale Senior Wheaties scheme or the Coca-Cola one? I like the Coca-Cola one better, personally. So that was always my take on it. I usually go red over orange. I prefer red over orange, but I do like orange. Orange is a good color for sure. Durham Bulls have a nice orange cap that I usually rock when I'm at a Durham Bulls game. That's my go-to hat there. Penske's paint, Texas Tan, I think is what they call it. Penske's car paint schemes have always been nice lines on all the series he participates in. Yeah, he has a strong hand in producing those too. Roger Penske does. He's always talked about that. Do you think Dale Jr. chose to leave NBC for Amazon? Solely chose to leave NBC for Amazon and Turner, or NBC dumped him? I don't understand how NBC could not see the value in Dale Jr. He was great at the Indy 500. I think, and this is just me speculating now, but I think the holdup was control over where Dirty Mo Media could post their content. I feel like that was the actual hang-up. I don't think it was actually about money. I think it was about control over his deal, because I feel like he wanted full control over his media empire. He didn't want to be told that he couldn't do this with this organization or couldn't do that with that organization. Well, Haley Deegan finished the year at the top 20 in points. She is 13 points out of 20th right now, says Mark Barnum. I'll take the over on that. Yeah, I think she'll finish top 20 in points. So I'll take the over there. Posted a meme today about Newman, dude pointing at the mirror, get out there and piss everyone off for 23rd. Currently at 74 likes, says Say Kyle. There you go. Yeah, Ryan Newman, he's one of the tougher guys to pass. Elite, what's up, my man? What up, BB? 670 horsepower when it comes to the new Dodge Charger, you say? Yeah, so I think the electric version has that. I think it's 550 for the inline 6 with the twin turbo. So the gasoline-powered version is going to be 550, which sounds like a familiar package in NASCAR. I think NBC dumped him. Could be wrong. The worst thing about it is no Dale Jr. for any races in 2024. Still baffling. They didn't have him signed until the end of the TV deal this year, at least, as an Napa Racing fan. I don't think they dumped him. I think they just literally couldn't come to an agreement. I don't think either side wanted to necessarily separate, but I think there was one hang-up, and the only real hang-up I could think of, it wouldn't be money. The only real hang-up I could think of for Dale Jr. there would be control of where he can post Dirty Mo Media stuff. It's pretty much the same hang-up that Joe Rogan had with Spotify. Joe Rogan essentially took less money with Spotify this time to have more control over where he could post all of his stuff, because he lost market reach with being exclusively on Spotify. Like, you could see the clips on YouTube, but you couldn't see the full episodes on YouTube. And like I said, when he came back to YouTube the other day, like, you just see how many more, and I use him as an example, because I feel like he's, if not the biggest podcaster, he's got to be one of them, right? So I'm using him as the example. And Dale Jr. being the biggest name, I feel like, in NASCAR, I feel like that was holding him back. Because if you look at Dale Jr.'s numbers, there are drivers out there on YouTube that have surpassed Dirty Mo Media. So I found that interesting too. You would think Dale Jr. would have the bigger audience than that, which those are vanity numbers anyway at that point, right? So, but I always found it funny that some drivers had more subscribers than Dirty Mo Media. I never understood it. So if you're not subscribed to Dirty Mo Media, I would appreciate it if you go over there and subscribe to Dirty Mo Media. So there you go. Not that he needs my help, but I will help. Let's see. Smokey Unick would be in the NASCAR Hall of Fame before anyone else. He founded the way it is done today. Smokey Unick, without picking up a pen, typewriter, or computer, wrote the NASCAR rulebook. So think about that. It's about as true a fact that has ever been said. BB Earth 2 Cup Series is called Snoop Cereal NASCAR Cup Series, and the Coke 600 is replaced with the NASCAR Snoop Cereal 2000 presented by Cactus Cool. Hey, there you go. You're in the game now, OJ and Toothpaste. I like what you're putting down there. I'm down with all that. Yo EP. Says Roofer saying what's up to Elite. Lovey saying what's up to Elite. Dodge used a Ford engine, but Honda Racing would have their own TRD. Yeah, Honda is going to make their engine in California, no doubt about it. I think that's where Toyota makes theirs too. But yeah, or at least the pieces for it before Joe Gibbs assembles it for them. And Elite saying what's up to everybody. Yeah, I could see a situation though where they just if NASCAR is going to switch over the engine platform, I could see a situation where they just moved where they just used the block for a couple seasons or however long it would be, and then when the new everybody would have to develop an engine at the same time. That's when I could see them. I could see NASCAR allowing that. You know what I mean? Because NASCAR wants them in the sport, and that to me it would just make sense. Like, why would you make a engine block for 2 years if you could get Honda in the sport, right? If that's the hurdle to get over, just let them use somebody else's block for a couple seasons. Then everybody is on a blank sheet of paper for the new engine platform that they're going to do or whatever. Check out Elite. Oh yeah, Super Roofer dropping. So if you haven't checked out Elite's channel, that's another one you should go subscribe to. By the way, if you haven't checked him out, go check out Elite's channel. And if you like the content, definitely feel free to subscribe. He's got a good one coming about Danica Patrick pretty soon. You might have dropped it today. I haven't been on YouTube today. If not, it's coming soon. I know that for sure. Elite, I love that Kevin LePage video you made. Says OJ and Toothpaste. What cars does Penske Racing use in IndyCar? That's a good question. I think there's Chevrolet in IndyCar, if I'm not mistaken. I know Chip Ganadio on exhibition races. Honda, whoops. Let's see. Honda already has a V8 built. It's called IndyCar. Says William Wagon. They're talking about a pushrod V8, I think, is what they were getting at. All of EP's videos are just straight opinion on the subject with no filters or sugarcoating, says Lovey. That's for sure. That's why we like him. That's why we like him. He ain't scared. Looking forward to your next video, Elite, says Roofer. Dale Jr. was basically a free agent and NBC lost him. Says Duke Chronic. Yeah, that's probably the best way. And I think he kind of wanted to go back, but there was a hang up, I think, with control over Dirty Mo Media. That's just that's how I feel about it. I'm definitely feeling Deegan finishes better this year than she did in trucks. Yeah, for sure. Quattro just subbed, so there you go. Good point on Dirty Mo, says Napa. All snap, we're going over 1 hour this week. Yeah, for sure. I hadn't even looked at it. California mentioned. Ra says Quattro. For sure. There you go. Yeah, I want to say OJ. I'm not going to say he lives in California, but I want to say OJ is familiar with California. Let's see here. One wise guy may or may not be familiar with California as well. What's the deal with some teams complaining about transmissions handed out? They would prefer in-house built better, says Brickyard Brickhead. Yeah, I mean, anytime. So you got to buy it from a vendor now is what they're talking about. Anytime you got to buy it from a vendor and the part fails, you're immediately going to be like, this is a hunk of junk. You should let us build our stuff in-house. And I think they've got a fair point there. But to be fair, a lot of times these things don't fail either. So you got to look at it both ways. The only way to look at it from the fairest perspective is to be like, do an actual analysis over the last, how long we've had, what have we been running these for? 3 or 4 years now? And then the last 3 or 4 years in Cup, and see how many transmission failures we had the last 3 or 4 years in Cup before they switched over. And then how many transmission failures we've had the last 3 or 4 years with this car. That's the only fair way to really look at it. But anytime a part you buy from a vendor breaks, you're going to scream a piece of junk. Just like if you go to an auto parts store and you get an alternator and you put it on your car, which has happened to me before. Brand new alternator, put it on my car. It's just as dead as the alternator I took off. So you're like, what am I doing here? You know, you get mad at the vendor, right? You don't get mad. You don't necessarily get mad at the auto parts store. You get mad at the person that built the alternator in that particular situation. I meant that in a good way, says Lovey. Oh yeah, we know what you meant. Ryan McGee hosting the download today must have been interesting. Must have been. I didn't know Ryan McGee was on there. Thanks everyone, much appreciated, says Elite. Yes, Honda and Chevy with IndyCar. Okay, so yeah, there we go. EP just so Penske is Chevy with IndyCar, I think, but they're Acura. They're Acura in IMSA, so they're all over the place. EP just says what he thinks, and it's nice, says Lovey. Penske uses Chevrolet, IndyCar, and Ganassi as Honda, says in between the lanes. There we go. Yeah, Penske does a little bit with everybody. That's the cool thing about Roger Penske. He's cooking with everybody's ingredients. Lovey Barkley, let BB cook. LOL, says Roofer. Baby Yoda, Mr. McGee, what a joke. Says William Wagman. So William Wagman doesn't like Ryan McGee. I'm not super familiar with Ryan McGee's thing. I think he does mostly football. I know he did some NASCAR stuff back in the day. He's wrote a bunch of books, I want to say, too. Honda and Chevy work together nowadays, don't they? Yeah, so they are working together on they were working on an electric car. They dropped that. They're now working on a hydrogen car, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that. Thoughts on IndyCar charters, lock spots for the Indy 500, please no. Yeah, I'm down with Scott McLaughlin tweeted out something saying that he was not down with that. So I'll if you can look up the Scotty McLaughlin tweet, I would like to reiterate that. I can't remember exactly what it said off the top of my head. Who do you think is the best NASCAR driver who never won a race, says Delmar Kaufman? The best NASCAR driver that never won a race. Rob Moroso would have to be in the running for that. Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, you got to throw in a Jimmy Means, JD McDuffie. Like, there's some guys back there that never won a race that definitely were good drivers. That's tough. Dave Marcus won races, but he didn't win any when I was around. Man, if Honda was coming to NASCAR next year, it would have been perfect for SHR. They would have been the first to bounce over there. Yeah, I think timing played out a little bit different. I do agree with you. Let's see. Yeah, best driver that never won a NASCAR race. That's a tough question. I'm going to have to go with Rob Moroso, maybe Adam Petty. So it would have to be somebody that was taken away pretty soon. Kenny Irwin would have to be in there. There's quite a few, but I would lean toward the ones that were taken away too soon, and then some guys that were just never in good equipment, like Jimmy Means, JD McDuffie, guys like that. Napa Racing fan ready for Phoenix. I hope the race isn't too dry. I'm hoping as that track ages, the racing gets better and better there. I'm from SoCal, but I moved to VA for grad school, says Quattro. Oh, so there you go. VA, you're just up the road from me. I'm right there on the line. So let's see. 10-4, good buddy. Callie here says one wise guy. W says Quattro. IndyCar desperately needs Honda. Honda was the only supplier for many years until Chevy returned in 2012. So yeah, hopefully they don't go through another deal where it'll just be Chevrolet supplying for a while. Hopefully IndyCar can turn it around. Like I'm not an expert on IndyCar, but I do like IndyCar. And it would be a shame if that series ever went away. So hopefully they figure it out and get it going over there. Napa Racing fan 927. The racing at Phoenix is always stale, says Lovey. Mostly yes. Sometimes it surprises though, says Napa. I think before they reconfigured it, I understand why they reconfigured it because it's an amazing facility. But before they reconfigured it, they actually had some really good racing go down there. BB, do you change your own engine oil or do you take it to Jiffy Lube? As long as it depends on the car. So a brand new car, I take it and get it changed at the dealership because of warranty stuff. I want the dealership to have the warranty in case I want to trade the car back in to get another car. So in that situation, I do it that way. And also, I don't like driving too advanced to dump out the oil. So there is that aspect of it. But if I'm like an older car, like the Miatas and stuff like that, the older cars I've got, yeah, I go ahead and change the oil in those for sure. Let's see, and then I take my stubborn tail over to advance and dump the oil. EP 29 video incoming. I thought the same thing. I bet SHR was in talks with Honda. They were definitely in talks with Dodge. That's what probably completely destroyed the deal with Ford. Of course, that relationship was fractured ever since Tony Stewart was told he couldn't put certain drivers in his car. BB, will Casey Kane make the Hall of Fame? That's a good. I think he does. I think he does make the Hall of Fame. He'd be another one that some people see on the borderline. I think Casey Kane goes into the Hall of Fame, though. I want to see Ganassi come back to NASCAR. That would be pretty cool. BB, big Scott Dixon guy. Oh, Scott Dixon's the man, without question. Moroso says, stupid roofer. Moroso has to be up there for sure, but Kenny Irwin has to be on that list, and so does Adam Petty, I feel like. BB on Earth 2 is Scotty Kilmer, the head rules enforcer in the garage, for sure. And he always, he never clickbaits on his YouTube channel either. NHRA testing tomorrow at 10 a.m. on YouTube Live, says William Wagman. Hey, so there you go. IndyCar, not IndyCar, NHRA getting fired up. So there you go. I need to get out to an NHRA event. I've never seen one live and in person. In Between the Lanes, David Land, big IndyCar guy, says In Between the Lanes. Yeah, so David Land, if you want to find out about IndyCar, definitely subscribe. Not that he needs my help because he's way bigger than me, but David Land, definitely a really good IndyCar channel. I would subscribe. I am subscribed to him, so I would check him out, at least on my first. I don't even know who I'm subscribed to with the Baloney Burger account. But I know on the Baloney Burner account, I am subscribed to David Land. Jimmy Means, I got one start in a Hendrick car, but got caught up in a wreck early, says Mark Hoffman. Yeah, that was a bummer for sure. Haley Deegan is doing what she should so far, keeping under the radar and not in the way or causing people grief. Yeah, I think just the fact that she's always in a race car, always learning, she's got the right attitude. If she stays at it long enough, she'll pick it up and become a decent race car driver. I think IndyCar should race at Charlotte. The Roval would be cool. I don't know about the oval, but the Roval would be cool. Or maybe they could do both. Did Dogleg or reconfiguration hurt Phoenix? Not really a reconfiguration other than moving turns and grandstands. Track's still the same. Old layout was better. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. They moved the start-finish line, and that sort of has hurt the finishes, in my opinion. Hurt the finishes. BB, have you tried the Sunny D vodka seltzer yet? I have not. I didn't even know that was a thing. They have a cheer wine something. I saw that the other day, and they've got the Bojangles hard tea. Joseph Newgarden and Scott McLaughlin are the bus pros, says In Between the Lanes. So I have to check them out. I do like Scott McLaughlin when damn, I just lost his name. When Scott Dixon retires, I'm going to pull for Scott McLaughlin in IndyCar. Let's see. Baron Von Weeb's going Kenny Irwin for the most talented driver to never win a NASCAR race. I like the pick there, Baron. I think he's definitely got to be in the mix as well. Late to date, hi y'all from North Idaho. What's up, Cassandra? What's up, North Idaho? Casey Kane doesn't deserve Hall of Fame, says T-Van. I mean, I feel like a lot of people are going to make that argument. I would put him in there. That's also what I would say there. I'm also subscribed to David Land, says In Between the Lanes. If you can change one thing about NASCAR, anything, what would it be? Oh man, here comes the boomer take. Season-long points. I would make it season-long points. Or if we're going to have a playoffs, just have a 10-race playoff. Like those would be the changes I make. Like if we're really married to a playoff, let's get a 10-race playoff. Otherwise, season-long points. But I want season-long points. I like a meritocracy. I prefer meritocracy over entertainment. So I would do season-long points. I think one of the greatest things F1 does is they don't punish a team for being way better than other teams. Like Red Bull right now is destroying everybody in F1, but F1's not punishing them for it. So for all the bad things people say about F1, when a team just does better than other teams, F1 doesn't punish them for it. I wish because they're not necessarily concerned about entertainment. They want more of a meritocracy. And obviously there's going to be conspiracy theorists out there that are like, oh, that's because Red Bull or whoever pays them off. There's always going to be that talk. But in general, like as long as there's nothing shady going on, which there could be, I'm not going to say there's not, but as long as there's nothing shady going on, I do like the perspective of when a team dominates, they're not hurt by the sanctioning body in favor of evening the playing field. So I do like the fact that it's a meritocracy and they're not worried about entertainment over there in F1. The downside of that is F1 races can sometimes, a lot of times, be super boring and academic to watch. Dale Jr. said he and Brad Means used to steal parts like boxes and plugs and stuff like that and give it to Jimmy Means. Jimmy Means was Dale Jr.'s favorite driver. Dick Trickle. That's going to be my answer as the best driver that never won a NASCAR Cup Series race. I'm going to say Dick Trickle. I'm going to say that one and stick with it. Dick Trickle is the reason I run the 84. Good dude. I like him too. So Dale Jr. liked Dick Trickle too. He said he'd walk around with a briefcase, and the briefcase just had candy in it. So that just made me an even bigger Dick Trickle fan. And the biggest reason I'm a Dick Trickle fan is I Googled his NASCAR Rookie of the Year speech, and when I saw that, I was like, Dick Trickle's my third favorite driver behind Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt Sr. BB, will Derek Kraus win a Cup race this year? Says OJ and Toothpaste. I don't know, but he's done decent with the opportunities he's been given, especially with what people are saying he shouldn't be in the race car or anything like that. I think he ran pretty solid the other day. With IndyCar, I doubt he wins the Cup race though this season. With IndyCar, the mayor of Hinchtown does a good job. Oh yeah, Tony Hinchcliffe does a good job. Does a good job in the booth for IndyCar. Yeah, no doubt about that. Current Phoenix is not that bad, but I do prefer old Phoenix. The only reason the finale is because of the stupid dog leg. 8 wide restarts makes NASCAR cream themselves. Says Elite. BB, do you have Helio Castroneves will ever run do you think Helio Castroneves will ever run a NASCAR race? I think eventually Dan Hawk will figure out a way to get him into a Daytona 500. So yeah, I do think he'll run a Daytona 500. I do think Dan Hawk will be a man of his, or Don Hawk, I'm sorry, will be a man of his word. One wise guy, all NASCAR executives are gone. Says T-Van, didn't the IndyCars run at Charlotte? Says Delmar, they might have. Get rid of the playoffs, says Roofer. Get rid of all stages, and we're tired of that crap. I mean, stages would be up there. Stage cautions, at least, would be up there too. But I was only allowed to pick one, so I feel like season-long points is more important than stage cautions. 10 races shouldn't determine a driver's career more than the 26 before it. I agree. Meritocracy, not entertainment. Stephen Roofer, yep, William Wagman changed the playoffs, agreed. Or I'd say no more stage cautions, says Wise Guy. OJ, where did Kraus run with? Where did Kraus run with last year? Says Steve-Van, F1 is the Max Verstappen series. The racing product as a whole is terrible right now. Verstappen winning in a blowout would be okay if overall racing was good, but it's not. Hate stage racing, says Steve-Van. F1 rejecting Andretti was ridiculous. Yeah, don't get me wrong. There's definitely politics. That's why I said one of the good things F1 does. We can focus all day on the negatives that every series does, but I like to also give them props when they do something right. Let's see. Any race I've ever been to, you drop the green flag and you don't give up until the checker flag. Agreed. James Hinchcliffe says in between, the Dinger should be in that 16 car full time. He should, but unfortunately, the way the world works, you need sponsorship, and AJ Allmendinger couldn't pull the same sponsorship that the other guys could pull. So unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. I missed the suspension travel. The cars hopping up and down made them look like a handful. I hate that teams discovered coil binding in 2005, and then it got even worse, Elite, because now we've got bump stops and all kinds of bump stops are the bane of my existence in short track racing. I hate a bump stop. I hate skateboard wheels. I hate the freaking washers. I hate all that crap. Just go back to big springs and get rid of coilovers altogether. That would be my fix for the series. No ride height rule. Just get rid of all that crap. No ride height and let teams do what they want to do. Never will have a Harvick Edwards 2015 finish at Phoenix again. Until the surface wears out or something like that, maybe. I don't know, but they definitely need to move the start finish line back. So yeah, I would agree with that. I think the one time Newgarden tested at the Roval, in IndyCar, I got you. Races would be approximately 30 minutes quicker without stage caution, says Napa Racing Fan. Yeah, for sure. Another Smokey trick, coil binding, 1966, says William. Yeah, he was dude. Smokey was on top of it. My man read a physics book and it changed his life. And he figured out race cars from reading a physics book. Dale Earnhardt versus Jimmy Johnson would have been amazing, says Lovey. Yeah, unfortunate. It didn't work out that way. BB, did you know that iRacing has rain now? I saw it, and it looks pretty awesome, says Duke Chronic. That's pretty cool. Forza had rain for a long time. Like I said, man, I was a big Forza guy, and to me, iRacing is really cool, but like I'm teamed up, man. Like original Forza, they had rain, they had day races, they had night races. Original Forza was so far ahead of its time, and people were like, that's just a video game. I was like, man, before its time though, it was as close to a simulator on like the original Xbox like as you could get. Oh, dude, the first 3 Forzas, man, they were the bomb. And the ones that came after it that had better graphics and better physics engines and stuff like that. But man, I'm telling you, dude, the original Forza changed the game because it when that game first came out, it looked Gran Turismo in the face and said, Gran Turismo, you ain't nothing. Like, you know what I would really say if it wasn't YouTube. But it looked Gran Turismo, which was the king at the time. It looked it directly in the face and said, you ain't squat. BB, did you know that iRacing has ran? I just read that one. IndyCar ran at Charlotte in the 90s, and I believe there was a bad wreck that hurt some spectators. Was that at Charlotte or was that somewhere else? That might have been at Charlotte. So yeah, that might have been the issue. Like I said, I'm far from an expert on IndyCar, so I couldn't call that one. You're right about the wreck. I just don't remember where it's at. Thanks, Brickyard, says Lovey Barkley. So there you go. Looks like we're getting close to the end. There is a poll question up if anybody wants to vote on it. 94 votes right now. Yes, they like the new Charger. No, they don't like the new Charger. Is at 30%, 60% yes. 7% says they like the design, but they don't like the i6 turbo engine. And 3% said they don't like the design, but they do like the engine options, which is either electric or i6 with twin turbos. Do you still play games when you have downtime? What's downtime, one wise guy? So that's one thing. I don't have time to play video games anymore since I started working on late models and stuff like that, along with my other stuff, and then throw YouTube on top of it. So I tell people all the time, I picked 2 of the well, I get paid for them, so I can't call them hobbies, but I'm just gonna call them hobbies. Hobbies I get paid for. I picked two of the most time-consuming hobbies that you get paid for of all time with YouTube and working on late models or helping work on late models. So I played Destiny. So Destiny was the last game I played. Destiny 1 and a little bit of Destiny 2 before they ruined it. I was a big Destiny guy. I played a ton of that. And before that, it was mainly Forza. Dishonored #1, the first Dishonored, I played that religiously. I played Dishonored. There was ways, I know nobody cares because this is about NASCAR, but this is the second hour, and this is the stuff we get into in the second hour. Earth 2, video games, whatever. The first Dishonored, I played it a whole bunch of times because there was 3 or 4 different endings to that Dishonored. There was one where you just went through and you massacred everybody. There was another one where you went through and maybe you got 1 or 2. That was a different ending. Then if you could get through the game all the way clean without assassinating anybody, you got a different ending. So I played that game pretty religiously. So those were the last few that I played. Then my buddies, like I wasn't a Borderlands expert, but every once in a while they would suck me into Borderlands and be like, hey, we need an extra. I was like, all right, whatever. So I did play a little bit of Borderlands, but I wasn't. I was far from an expert. Let's see. Is there another sport you care about, or is it mainly NASCAR? So once again, this is another thing. Since I started working, doing these other 2 hobbies, I used to keep up with. I live really close to Duke University. I used to work at Duke University. Growing up as a kid, my dad was a diehard Duke fan, so I kept up with Duke basketball for a long time. I had another account on Twitter where I did Duke basketball stuff. I got that up to like 3,000 at one point. So I was big into like Duke basketball. No video or anything like that. I was just tweeting, just to kill time during the games, and then it just took off one day. So, but yeah, I've abandoned that account. I don't even know if it still exists anymore. But yeah, I got rid of that. So I used to keep up with college basketball quite a bit. That's pretty much it. Like basketball and racing. I kept up with the NBA in the 90s. Then when Jordan retired and the Sonics no longer had a team, and then they took the team out of Charlotte, I was a Seattle Supersonics fan and a Charlotte Hornets fan, and then at one point both of those teams were gone. So I never really got back into the NBA after that. So but I do keep up with it. I've made an agreement though. I've made an agreement. I am now a Orlando Magic fan. I've come to an accord with somebody else here. So let's see. Gran Turismo fell off hard. Says, oh yeah, dude. Gran Turismo, once Forza 1 came out, it was all downhill for Gran Turismo. It just they couldn't make up their mind if they wanted to be Need for Speed or if they wanted to be a simulator, and they just it is what it is. Same thing with NBA Live. NBA Live used to be the best NBA basketball game. Then what is it called now? Anyway, the other one came up, and that completely destroyed it. The only thing EA Sports has going for it now is Madden. You gonna pick up GTA 6 when it comes out? Says say Kyle. I mean, I would, but I don't have any time for it. So there you go. Let's see. Have you ever tried Dale's mayonnaise and banana sandwich? I mean, I tried it before he ever made it famous. That's just like a North Carolina thing, I guess. That was, I guess, everybody that was shocked by that. I was like, why are y'all shocked by that? We eat them all the time down here. Yeah, they're pretty good. Like if you can tolerate mayonnaise, which some people can't, but the sweetness of the banana cancels it out. I'm not like a huge mayonnaise person, but like a little bit of mayonnaise so the sandwich isn't quite as dry will help. Butter also works. So the Elvis Presley version is actually better. Like butter, peanut butter, and bananas, way better than the mayonnaise and banana sandwich. Good night, every burger. I mean, everybody says Lovey, so Lovey's out for this one. Thanks for being on here. For those who don't know, BB is an absolute diehard Orlando Magic fan. Even has a Magic tattoo. Says say Kyle. I tell you what, I'm a 49ers fan, but I like Pirates too, so I'm kind of falling in love with that logo. I'm not going to be a Tampa Bay Bucks fan, but I like their logo. So you might see some Tampa Bay Bucks hats and possibly a Pittsburgh Pirates hat. And in baseball, I'm so common. Well, one of the teams isn't common. My grandma was a Dodgers fan. My dad was a Yankees fan, and I like the Marlins too. So those are my baseball teams. I don't keep up with any of that stuff. Like I said, I just don't have time to keep up with it anymore. Carolina and Duke this weekend, says Delmar Kaufman. Yeah, hopefully we can get them back. Tar Heels rule, says King Tone. Yeah, so there you go. Like I said a long time ago on Twitter, under this account, I was like, the most controversial thing I'll ever tweet. I'm a Duke fan. There you go. So that's back when we had Banchero on the team. Let's see who is now on Orlando Magic. He needs some help. He needs some help in Orlando. If we can get Banchero a little bit of help in Orlando, that would be good. He's got the Wagner boys, but other than that, a little bit of help. We've got 13 guards, and we can't trade one of them. Anyway, let's see. I'm a Magic fan too, says Cassandra Keller. In the words of Ice Cube, the Lakers beat the Supersonics. There you go. That doesn't even make sense to a whole generation now. They're like, what's a supersonic? Good night, BB and everyone else out there. Be safe, buckle up, and speed is for the speedway, not the highway. Peace out. I'm a Knicks fan, says in between the lanes. Oh man, I can't imagine the pain. They had one run there in the 90s with Spreewell where they went to the championship, and they've had a few good teams here or there. But man, they've had some rough times. They've had some good players and some rough times. Medal of Honor fell off like crazy too, says Quattro. Oh yeah, Battlefield. You remember YOLO on the Battlefield, Stone Mountain 64? Like Battlefield was big for a little while too. Let's see, 2K now. Thank you, 2K. Like you get on here, the camera comes on, you forget everything. Appreciate you, man. In between the lanes, 2K was the bomb. Celtics, says King Tone. A lot of my friends were Celtics fans. I refused to ever be a Celtics fan because I felt like they were only pulling for the Celtics because this was before like everybody had a super team. I was like, I didn't see any Celtics jerseys. Well, I guess Larry Bird back in the day. But before that, I didn't see any Celtics jerseys before Kevin Garnett joined the Celtics. Then everybody was all of a sudden a Celtics fan. I was like, come on now. Pittsburgh, everything sports-wise, but LSU. I like the Pittsburgh Pirates. They got some good hat logos. So you might see one of those coming up one day too. And Duke, LSU, Duke, and most are my most favorites in college. Yeah, so outside of Duke, Duke football, like this year they were good, and every once in a while they'll have a good football year, but for like decades and decades, Duke was terrible at football. So college football, I pulled for Tennessee and Oregon because Oregon had Donald Duck on their helmet, and I thought that was really cool. That was before Oregon had all the crazy uniforms and stuff, before Oregon was actually good. So I pulled for them in Tennessee. So I had at least something to watch during college football season. As Duke had multiple 0-win seasons back in the day. I tried the banana mayo after hearing Junior talk about it, and I honestly, it's pretty good. So say Kyle, yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's one of those things like a Reuben. Like everything combined on a Reuben sounds nasty, but when you put it all together, it tastes pretty good. Like I don't think I like a single thing other than the Russian dressing on a Reuben sandwich. But when you put it all together, it tastes really good. David McSwain, what's up, man? Hey, BB just came in to DAM. Gary Ballou, number 51 truck team gave KB Rowdy. Someone asked about that a couple shows ago. So there you go. Yeah, there's another one. There's another one. Gary Ballou is another one, man. Like that is he's been on the Dale Jr. download, so I think everybody knows the story now. But yeah, Gary Ballou, good mention there, David. Gary Ballou, man, like that dude, he's got a story, man. I need to get his book and read it, like, because that was one of the craziest thing ever. You got political commercials playing. You know what's crazy? YouTube usually gives me an option to stop commercials. They're not, because it's political season. I didn't even get an option to stop the commercial today. That's how crazy it is right now. So it's voting day here in North Carolina. So I guess they're not giving me the option to block those ones, or I missed it. There's a good chance I missed it, but I usually don't miss it. So sorry if you saw a commercial. Apologies. I catch them, but I feel like I didn't get the option today. I'm a Bucks fan as well. Fire the Cannons. Yeah, they got a cool celebration too. Marshawn Lynch up there doing that thing when they were firing the cannons at one time. That was good TV. Pensacola, Florida. What's up, people? Oh, so David McSwain, Pensacola. He's either a Pensacola native or lives there now. Let's see. Go Hawkeyes, says Mark Barnum. JMU Dukes says, okay, I got you, JMU. Old James Madison up there. I hear you, buddy. Brickyard Brickhead lived in Charlotte, 81 and 82. Being a Hoosier, it was great. Coach Knight said Jordan was or / is the best player of all time, says Brickyard Brickhead. Yeah, man, Jordan was another breed, man. Like he was a Tar Heel, but he was a dude I pulled for. There are certain Tar Heels that they get my respect. He was one of them. I met Vince Carter and Antoine Jameson in the Northgate Mall one time. They were super nice guys. I could after that I was like, I can't pull against y'all. I just wish y'all would stop playing so good against Duke because it's inappropriate. But they were super nice dudes, so I couldn't ever pull against them. Pat McAfee show back this week, says in between the lanes. Hey, so there you go. Pat Mac is back. Go Big O, says Cassandra Keller on the Oregon train there. College football, one of the best times of the year, along with Christmas and the racing season. Yeah, college football is fun, man. College sports were big to me because we didn't have professional sports where I lived at the time. So it was like the Durham Bulls, Duke basketball, and stuff like that. So college sports were huge. And of course, NASCAR and local short track racing stuff was always my big stuff that I could actually see live and in person. My dad had a hookup, so we went to a bunch of Duke games live. Cameron Indoor Stadium. It's expensive. Like I'm not saying spend the money for it, but if you ever get the opportunity to experience it for a discount price, Cameron Indoor Stadium, one of the coolest things ever to experience. A great atmosphere. Boston. I've been to a Boston Red Sox. Boston versus the Yankees. In Boston. If you ever want to go stadium, like visiting stadiums, I would highly recommend attending, even if you don't like the Red Sox, I would highly recommend attending a Red Sox game. Great, and I'm a Yankees fan. Great experience. I wore a Durham Bulls hat for that one though. Didn't want no problems. Great experience. All the Boston people were super nice that I met. I had a good time. That's a great atmosphere. Up there. What do you think of the Breakard's content? He's pretty good, and his hair is crazy. Look, dude, Breakard's hair, I love his hair. He always looks like he just woke up, but I feel like that's just how he rolls. Like he didn't have time to do anything except get that content ready. Yeah, Breakard. If you check out Breakard's channel, that dude, he's good. I like him too, for sure. And if you go visit his channel, make sure you subscribe because he's doing good things over there. Good content for sure. I usually tune off when he's super active on Twitter too. So if you talk to him on Twitter, he usually will respond as well. I'm not as active on Twitter as he is, so I'm not the guy on Twitter. But if you leave a comment in the comment section, I usually get to a lot of those. Not as many as I wish I could, but I try to get to as many of them as I can. Usually tune off when they're not racing. NASCAR, Five Flag Speedway is where I spent first 20 years of my life. Says David. Hey, there you go. Five Flags is huge. That's one I've never been to it. That's one I want to go down there and experience. That's definitely on the list. I need to get up with some of my super late model friends and see if they need an extra set of hands, and see if I can get in the back gate for free. One wise guy voting here too. Okay. So there you go. Baseball season starts up soon. NBA / NHL playoffs. So that was the first, I guess, pro team we got was the. Well, no, we got the Hornets first, but then they were gone. But the first championship. Our first championship was the Carolina Hurricanes. The only professional championship I think that North Carolina's got. Carolina Hurricanes. I'm 60 years young. Hey, you're just getting started there, David. Just getting started. According to Morgan Freeman, you're in the prime of your life right now. I'm a Gator, but after that, I root for Duke due to Paulo. And since BB roots for the Magic, LOL. Hey, there you go. That was the trade. That was the trade. I appreciate it. So as long as Florida had a good basketball team for a long time too. Old Jason Williams and after. I can't even call the coach's name, but he got 2 or 3 championships with them, and then he went and coached the Magic for a little while. The Green Monster says, one wise guy, Fenway. Good stadium. Good stadium. Boston's a fun town to visit. A lot of good stuff to do there. And you can get to everything from the, I forget, it's not the Metro. DC calls theirs the Metro. But whatever the public transit deal is, you can get pretty much anywhere in the city on public transit. I coach D3, the Green Line or something like that. I coached D3 football. We played in Fayetteville, Brevard, and Rocky Mount. Okay, I got you. I don't know if you ever played Chowan, but that's where I got a buddy that coaches up at Chowan. They're in like the Carolina Conference or something crazy. It used to be they used to be the CIAA, but now they're in the Carolina Conference or something. Let's see. March Madness starts. So you get the off season stuff too. Like I've got a couple buddies that coach football, some high school and some college. Like I never see them. Then when the season's over, I know I've got like 2 months, and a lot of times our 2 months kind of overlap at points. So I was like, I know I got to go see them in these 2 months, otherwise they're going to be busy. So and I think you said you were going through grad school too. So like I can't even imagine that workload, like trying to do grad school stuff and trying to keep up with the football coaching. Man, I hear you, dude. But yeah, Brevard College, that's not a well-known one. But that's a fun place. Rocky Mount. So Chowan was near Rocky Mount, so you might have heard of Chowan. But yeah, Rocky Mount right there is like I forget it, but it's Roanoke Rapids, then Rocky Mount, or Rocky Mount, then Roanoke Rapids. Then you push up a little ways, you get past Littleton, and the next one of the next towns is Murfreesboro. That's where Chowan's at. March Madness starts up soon. Funny thing, I never got into college football when I was younger. Always have it on, but I used to always have it on. Says in between the lanes. Yeah, March Madness is where it's at. Like that's probably the biggest college deal, right? Other than the well, now they've got the playoffs. It used to be the bowl games, but yeah, that's probably the 2 biggest college deals. We should see RFK do burnouts at Fenway Park. Penguins also. So back in the day, I think they did. Carl Edwards and somebody else when they first signed the deal. I know they took a car out on the track. Austin Dillon's had his car out at a baseball stadium somewhere too. I want to say because he threw out the first pitch. When he won the Daytona 500, he had his car out there. He threw the first pitch and I guess sort of rode around the outfield or something. I'm subscribed to Breakhard. Says in between the lanes. Good man. Breakhard is good. Says Napa Racing fan. What did you think? FS1 missing Caruth's pass on Gray for the lead and his first one. Classic Fox, my man. That's classic Fox. Their camera work needs so much help. Gus Johnson is good when it comes to college football and college basketball, along with some Knicks games. Yeah, and he was oh, so that's the other thing. The college EA Sports college football video game is coming back. So that'll be cool too. But yes, Gus Johnson, he was in one of the college football games back in the day. His calls are legendary. Gus Johnson, one of the best to ever do it. It's tough. Rocky Mount, we played North Carolina Wesleyan. Says Quattro, beating and banging is coming on strong as a podcast. Says Baron Von Weaves. Yep, it is. I've heard them a few times too. So good stuff over there. Delmar calling in tonight. What do you think? What do you think they do for the Clash next year? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. There's so many different directions they could take it. I don't know, man. Like I really don't know. Like Rockingham would be the first one that jumps out. But then you've got too many races in North Carolina again, and people are going to complain about that because in that situation, it just depends. It depends on how everything else plays out. I feel like you need to do it just in another region that doesn't get races. North Carolina, I would love to have it at Rockingham, but I feel like Rockingham could be the all-star race. You could slide in North Wilkesboro as a points-paying race, where one of the California date, where the California date used to be, and then you have 2 open slots where Rockingham could be the all-star race, and then you would have that race to move around somewhere. So as long as that race moves to somewhere in a market that doesn't get a NASCAR Cup race, I think it would be okay. Let's see. Born and raised 2 miles from Five Flags Raceway for 52 years, says David McSwain. So there you go. There you go. Born and raised. Florida man. We got a lot of Florida men on here. California men and Florida men. We got a bunch of them. Let's see. If money wasn't an issue, which race would you go to and why? Oh, does it have to be a NASCAR race? That's a good question. So NASCAR race, if money wasn't an issue, there's several of them. I want to go to my first Daytona 500. That would be a good one to go to. I've been to Phoenix for a championship race. That was an amazing event. So I would always encourage people to do that. Phoenix Raceway, great environments. Kansas Speedway, a lot of people telling me to go out there. Bristol, I'm hoping to do this year. So Bristol's definitely on that list. I definitely want to go to a road course, a cup road course race before I leave the planet. So that's definitely on the list as well. Yeah, I don't know. Just one that I hadn't been to. So that would be the pick there. Rockingham is a great track. Should be on the schedule. Clash back to Daytona, please. I mean, yeah, that's what a lot of people want. Clash and All-Star race definitely lost a special feel once they once had should be pole winners in the Clash and race winners in the All-Star with the Open as it used to be. Says Napa Raceman. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I feel like you should have to earn your way into those. They've included too many cars, and there's nothing special about them. Like, your favorite driver doesn't have to earn their way in. So I feel like that is a fair statement. So all right, looks like we reached the end of it. So I will catch you guys on the next one, which will be the pre-race on Sunday. So until then, y'all take it easy. I'll work on the some more content for you, and peace.